welcome you all to the 3-day international virtual workshop on research methods and designs, jointly organized by Lavender Literary Club, Cape Comorin Trust, and Malaysian Industrial Relations and Human Resource Associations Malaysia. Today we are having two speakers for the day, and our first speaker is going to be Associate Professor Dr. Kahirul Mohammed Saleh, Faculty of Technical and Vocational Education, University Tun Hussein Un, Malaysia. And to say more about him, uh, his current position is as an associate professor in University of Tun Hussein Un, Malaysia, and his teaching areas include research methodology, applied statistics, human resource development, educational leadership, mixed methods research. His research interest includes technical and vocational educational and training, human resource development, organization, performance and change, educational leadership, management, workplace, learning and performance, research methodology, and applied statistics. His academic qualifications include PhD in Education and Human Resource Studies and postdoctoral in research methodologies. Not only that, he has also won many honors and awards. In 2011 to 12, he has won the International Presidential Fellows Award. In 2016, University Tun Hussein On Malaysia 10-Year Service Award and Special Award for Human Resource Development Panel. In 2018 to 19, he has bagged the Scientific Teaching Fellow for Summer Institute on Scientific Teaching. And from 2021 to 2024, he has won the Expert in My Site Journal Evaluation and Journal Recommendation to ASIN Citation Index. And he has nearly 23 years of teaching experience, and he has done various publications in research, and he has also done many seminars, and he has been a keynote speaker for many programs. We are very much happy to have you among us, sir. The session is yours.
Thank you, Miss Risha. Am I pronouncing it correctly, Miss Risha? Okay. Thank you. So I would like to first and foremost welcome everyone to this workshop, research methodology and design workshop. I hope this workshop will benefit all of you, especially for those who are interested in pursue their study in master and also in doctoral level. Okay, let me share my my slide presentation. Okay, today I think for starter, I would like to talk a little bit on research methodology, just to give you an overview. If you have any question, just feel free to ask me. Just stop me and then ask a question. I think that's better rather than wait until the end of my presentation. Okay, my name is Kahirul. I am an associate professor at University Tun Hussein. Almost 20 years now, back and forth. I am adjunct professor and also visiting professor at Colorado State University, visiting professor at University of Yogyakarta State University, and also I'm also a consultant for MRail. Basically, MRail is measurement. Let me think. MRail. I use this short form: measurement, reporting, evaluation, and also learning. So that's MRail. Okay, so first and foremost, we need to know like what is research. Okay, so research is a careful investigation of a new facts in any branch of knowledge, whether you are studying human resource, whether you are studying industry relationship, whether you are studying organizational performance, organizational development, any branch of knowledge, medicine, occupational therapy, education, like anything, just name it. They have this is a branch of things that we do to do what we call as a scientific investigation. So I'm quoting what Albert Einstein said: if we knew what we are doing, it wouldn't be called research. Like if we are know like what are we what we are doing, or what like we are try to perform a task, it wouldn't call research. Research is something that we want to know the truth, what is the phenomena behind certain things. So this is how we do. This is how we do, and why we do research. Okay. Uh, so basically, level of research in research paradigm are differ. Like for many of us, for example, like for grad student, research is something else compared to to faculty member, or compared to like emeritus or tenured professor. So this is something that we need to kind of like put our position in, because like like you need to know like your audience. For example, like tonight, I think like most of my audience is kind of like, I think a graduate student or a faculty member. So I'm going to talk within that range so that you understand like what is research methodology. So this is what we call as a research paradigm. Okay, so when we talk about research design, principle of research design, especially for PhD is a philosophy. So you need to have a principle in doing research, or what we call as a research design. So basically, we divide into 4 or 5 category. Depends on your perspective. Uh, some books use 4, some book use 5, like, but the main idea is you need to know like what is the principle behind this, so that like to become a doctoral in philosophy, you need to know basic thing about ontology, epistemology, axiology, and methodology. So 4 or 5 main features. The first one is ontology. So this is the question when we ask how you view the world and the assumption that you make about the nature of world and the reality. So basically, when you do research, like try to embark on this, try to kind of like try to see within this perspective, because in doing research we are not trying to kind of like change the world, but we are trying to it is just a small scale of study to to give an answer, uh, uh, what is what on how we kind of like answer the question. Okay. The second thing is on the epistemology. So this is the assumption that you make about the best way of investigating the world and about the reality. The important one is methodology. This is the way that you group together your research technique to make a coherent picture. So we're going to focus on this topic on methodology, because most of the time when you do research, this is the heart of the research. It's a methodology. Most of the faculty member, most of lecturer, most of professor, when you are doing research, they going to kind of like look into this methodology. Basically, this is what you write in your chapter 3. So methodology is essential for research. I'm going to like kind of like elaborate more on this topic. Okay. The fourth one is the methods and technique. This is like kind of like the procedure, the step you take to do research. So what you actually do in order to collect your data and carry out with your investigation. And then last but not least, this is axiology, deals with the nature of value and capture the value question of what the intrinsically worthwhile. So if you combine all these principle, this is what we call as a research. You can come up with what we call as a research paradigm. This is your philosophy in doing a research. Okay, so this is the foundation of research. In this workshop, we're going to like kind of cover methodology section, because I think like for most of students, especially for grad students, they try to understand more about this part, so that when you kind of like expert in this area, methodology, it's easier for you to navigate your study doing PhD. Okay. So methodology is essential for doing research. Epistemology and ontology is kind of like the implication for your methodology, because the combination of epistemology and ontology and also methodology, it will give you philosophy. So this is what we call as when you graduate from graduate school, you earn your PhD. This is the combination of what you learn in your along the way your study: epistemology, ontology, and methodology. Okay. So in terms of methodology will cover most of the process, most of the steps, like your plan, what is like the combination of chapter 1 and chapter 3, from your introduction to your problem statement, and then you come up with research question, and then from that you're going to write your chapter 3, that is what we call as a methodology. Okay. Okay, so in doing research, there's a characteristic or what we call as the DNA. First, in terms of any topic, you can research any topic, but you need to have at least these 5 things, these 5 characteristic or DNA of a research. First, it has to be a systematic. You need to follow the procedure, follow all the steps, and then all the steps are interrelated. That's why when you are writing your proposal, basically your proposal consists of chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Chapter 1 is on the introduction. What you cover, basically your introduction, your background of study, and then you have a problem statement, and then you have a purpose or objective, and you have your research question. So this is on your chapter 1. Your chapter 2 will include your literature review. Basically, like you going to explain in detail about your background of study in your literature review. So this is covered in chapter 2. Chapter 2 also covered previous research. Like most of the time research are replicable. So the point number 5 is replicable. So most of research in social science are replicable. So there's no such thing as a novelty in social science, because it's all replicate. You can replicate all this study. So that's covered in chapter 2 when you talk about previous study. And then in chapter 3, you cover your research methodology, including your research design, your sampling technique, population and sample, and then location of research. And then you cover also your validity, reliability, and also like analysis plan. So this is all systematic, like throughout your write up, like this is what you cover for your proposal chapter 1, 2, and 3. So when you defend your proposal and then you pass your proposal, then you can further your research by collecting the data and then analyze the data. This is covered in chapter 4, and then in chapter 5, you're going to kind of like make a conclusion. First discuss, like make a discussion, and then from that discussion you make a conclusion and also the recommendation. So basically this is all systematic process. In doing this, you also need a logical, basically topic for research should be something that lingering on the principle of logic, like something to testable, something that we can research, something that like makes sense. So this is logical. Empirical, empirical is a conclusion that you make must be based on the evidence or your observation. So it's a data driven. So most of research for graduate students, what we call as empirical research, because you need to show the evidence, you need to have your data collected, you need to have your respondent, participant, sample or population. So this is empirical. It's not done, like in social science. You need like all this to say that this is an empirical study. And then the fourth point is the objectivity. When we have an issue, when we have a problem statement, and then we should come up with a research question. So research question will drive your research, and then you need to find an answer for your research question. So this is the DNA of a research. Okay, so there's a type of research. There's a basic or theoretical, and then there's a apply application. We apply what from theory, and the last one is a practical. So and then you can like combine all these within your research. Like do theoretical and then combine with apply and also a practical. You can do that, or you can like do in single terms. For example, you just want to apply, and then you can also do that. So this is basically type of research. So the first steps on doing research is to get an idea, to come out with like what is the issue. But in research methodology, the fundamental behind all the methodology is from your research question. So I'm going to like skip the process of research first, and like skip that. I want to talk on your research question first, and then we come back to the process, because I think most of the time in doing research, what drives you is your research question. Okay, so to develop a good research question, you need to have a purpose. Like what is your objective? What is the purpose on doing this research? You need to know. This is something that you need to like do a lots of reading, do lots of research review, try to like understand your research, and then see like what is the purpose in doing this research. If you know like what is the purpose on doing research, on doing your research, or in doing like whatever like your call, so it's clear. So you have your purpose, you have your objective, and then from that try to find a good literature review. in doing that, you need to kind of like read a lot, like read the past research, and then try to go to conference, make like make an argument, because this is where the all the ideas will kind of like surface. So I think for literature review, it is important for you to know like what is the best way to uh, kind of like what is the best way for you to replicate your study. So most of the time, for graduate students, we ask them to like try to read the past research, thesis, dissertation, all these academic things, journal article, so that you get an idea, and then you can like kind of like replicate the same thing, the previous research done within your scope of work. Okay. And then this is the iterative approach, so when you have all this, and then you can see like what is the problem, what is the issue lingering your topic, and then you can kind of like come out with your research question. But at this time, your research question are still raw, so you can like you can draft any research question, because this is something that's still new, and you still are developing, like kind of like go through back and forth. Okay. So and then if you are firm with your scope, if you are firm with your idea, and then try to ask yourself like what would the answer to this question. And then if you can like like if you are interested uh in continue your topic, and then you need to kind of like step like hold, and then take a few step back, and then try to do like try to read more, try to understand more about your topic. So I think the basic fundamental in doing research methodology, before you go into detail of research methodology, is kind of like do your research question. Okay. Okay. So this is important. I like oftentimes I told my students, don't let your methodology drive the question. Meaning, most of my students move in whether in state in USA, in Malaysia, or in Indonesia. They have like the same idea. They want to do what I call as a fancy methodology. Okay, in terms of the analysis, most of students nowadays, they want to use structural equation modeling, or SEM. They want to use mixed method. They want to use like something fancy for their PhD. So when you start with methodology, you going to kind of like there's going to be a problem, because methodology should not drive your question, your research question. If you can come out with good research question, the research question should be the one who drive the methodology, not vice versa. Okay, I'm going to like explain this in my next few slide. Okay. So coming back to research process. So the first thing you need to know is you need to have an idea. You need to kind of like what is your idea? What is the topic that you want to research? What is your strength? What is your passion? Yeah. what is, you know, like ask yourself this question. What is one topic that you are interested on doing this? So research idea can be found anywhere throughout reading, from newspaper, from magazine, from TV documentary, anything. But once you find a good topic to research, or you find any topic that you want to research, and then you need to find a literature review. When we do a literature review, this is where the thing get more systematic, what we call as a systematic process. Why? Because when we do a literature review, then we understand that, okay, that your topic is something that we can research or not. Okay, why? Because like I said, most of the topic in social science, if you are doing social science, is a replicable. So meaning that you can replicate, you can reproduce that study. For example, if you're interested in soft skill, there's a lot of nomenclature: soft skill, transferable skill, uh, 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 what else? Transversal skill. So there's a lot of nomenclature, but it's the same idea. So same goes to, like any other topic in social science. So when you have your idea, and then try to find academic journal, thesis, PhD thesis, master thesis, or dissertation on that idea. So the process is using keyword. So whenever you read a journal, you find a keyword. So try to find the similar keyword and research from the internet. You will find like lots of lots of article, lots of paper on similar topic. So and then try to kind of like go through, see whether this is the topic that you're going to you're going to research or not. And then after that, uh, and then start asking yourself, okay, what is the issue, what is the problem? If you can find a good issue, if you can find a good problem, then there's a chance that your topic can be researched. If you couldn't find a problem or an issue, so you need to kind of like read more. So go back to literature review, do a literature. So this is one question that most examiner ask. Okay, so what is the issue? What is the problem? What is the thing that you want to research? So capture this, know your problem, know your issue, so that you can explain better when people ask you. When you have your issue, when you have your problem here, what we call as a research problem, there's a statement. You need to write the statement, and then from there you can develop your research question. Why? Because research question is a sentence, is a key to answer the issue or the problem that exists before that you said that there's a problem within that topic that you're going to research. Once you have that research question, depends on what level, and then from there you can start formulating your research design. So this is the planning part. Why? Because when you come up with an issue, something to research or research problem, and then you develop your research question, this is what going to drive your type of research, whether it is qualitative or quantitative or mixed, both qualitative and quantitative, what we call as a mixed method. Why? Okay, because in research question, there's a nature, okay? Whether you want to explore, the nature is you want to explore. So when you want to explore, you're going to ask in terms of how, like there's a process, how something happen. So when you ask this kind of question, research question, and the nature is exploratory, so this is where you follow the qualitative route. Okay. When you want to confirm something and you ask the question, like what, where, when. Okay. So this is something that you want to confirm. You have an answer, but you want to confirm whether it's true or not. So this is something that you should follow what we call as the quantitative route. Okay, so basically on research design, there's a two or three route that you can follow. The first one is qualitative, the nature is explore. Second one is quantitative, the nature is to confirm. And the third one is a mixed method. This is the combination of quali and quantitative. Okay, so we're going to talk more on that. Okay, and then when you have selected your research design, and then it's easy because in terms of data collection is fairly easy, because if you choose quantitative, and then there's a step that you can follow in terms of like sampling technique, it's a probability sampling technique. And then in terms of analysis, descriptive and inferential statistic. So there's more on data collection process. And then for qualitative is the same thing. When you choose qualitative, there's a design and approach on qualitative. I'm going to explain that also. And then in terms of the sampling technique, most of the time it's a non-probability sampling technique. In terms of analysis, most of the time in qualitative, they will use thematic analysis. So within this workshop, we're going to cover that also. In terms of analysis, depends on your research design. So this is the route that I said that it must be driven from your research question. Okay. And then when you do your data analysis, depending on which research design that you choose, you're going to at least get an answer from that analysis. Once you get an answer, and then you need to answer your research problem or research question. So research question, you formulate research question based on research problem, right? So this is where you answer your research question, and then support that answer on your discussion by giving citation from the literature review, because you already have all the literature review from your reading, from your previous research. And then from this the discussion, and then you make the conclusion of your research. So this is a process. Basically, this is what we call as a research process. So most of the time, there's going to be different here and there, but the basic idea is like this, and this is like continuous or spiral, whatever you want to call it, but this is the process. Okay, so for quantitative and qualitative research, so this is where you divide your kind of your study. So how to determine quantitative or qualitative? Like I said, the most important thing is your nature of doing research. Like, do you want to explore or do you want to confirm? If your nature are more exploring, you want to explore, you want to find a new thing, you want to kind of get a new idea or new knowledge. So that is something that that paradigm, that something covers in qualitative research. So most of the time, qualitative research is explore by nature, and it covers a lots of explaining, covers a lots of narrative, covers a lot of uh, explanation. So that's why in qualitative research, you are more using words, using your storytelling, using your narrative. So this is qualitative. If your nature of research is you want to confirm something, some phenomena, you want to kind of like you want to predict, you want to check, and this is more towards quantitative research. But bear in mind, when you are using quantitative research, basically you are using number. People wouldn't understand because this is number. You need to, towards the end, in discussion, you need to interpret that numbers. So basically quantitative, using statistical analysis, most of the time is numbers. The In terms of when we compare qualitative and quantitative, most of quantitative research are concise, precise, and there's no like lengthy word or something like that. It's more like uh, like short and precise. So that's on quantitative. Okay, the combination of two, quantitative and qualitative, and then you have what we call as a mixed method. Mixed method is something that it's not that new, but relatively is something that we use mixed method uh, to kind of like like explain well. For example, if you only using numbers, if you only using quantitative, sometimes is you cannot explain because it's numbers, right? Numbers, data driven and numbers. So using mixed method, you can like combine quantitative and qualitative. So there's a design for mixed method. There's a what we call as a sequential mixed method, or concurrent mixed method. Sequential is when you do one design at a time, or using one design and then support by another design. Concurrent is when you use both at the same time. So for mixed method, there's exploratory. Exploratory. We start with qualitative because the nature of qualitative is explore. So exploratory study, we use qualitative, and then we support our data with quantitative. Explanatory is when we use quantitative first, and then we support with qualitative. And then we have like dynamic research. Dynamic meaning like we have like multi-phases on research design. That's combine qualitative and quantitative using using either qualitative or quantitative, depends on your study. Okay, so there's a mixed method. Okay, I'm going to like explain first for qualitative and quantitative. If you have like any question, please stop me and ask a question. If or you can also use a chat box. You can write your question. Hopefully the moderator like will stop me and ask a question. If you have any question, just feel free to ask. Okay. Okay, in terms of quantitative and qualitative, we have like this assumption. Okay, so this is basically what we call as a research paradigm. Okay, Research paradigm is where we look into ourselves, you know, like from a perspective lens, yourself, like try to you know, like ask yourself whether you are more comfortable with word or more comfortable with numbers. Okay, because there's a paradigm here. Okay, for quantitative, the idea is upon positivism, or what we call as a post-positivism. So whenever like you read the philosophy, the foundation of research, the philosophy book, you're going to like came across this word positivism, constructivism, and then uh, the other one is constructivism, positivism, and also practical. The practical one is don't remember. There's a one for mixed method. Positivism for quantitative, constructivism for qualitative. There's another one for mixed method. So this is what we call as the research paradigm. So basically, for quantitative, the nature is the post-positivism. Okay, there's a what we call as uh, people who are looking the solution, more practical practitioner. So positivism is on that spectrum. Compared to constructivism, constructivism is someone who like to ask question, like to kind of like uh, seeking for detail out. So this is what we call as constructivism. So for qualitative and quantitative, because of this paradigm, they are separate into two. Okay, so if you are more towards like you want to you don't care less about the process, basically you are post positivism. So you just want to make a conclusion. The important thing is the end result. So this is more on post positivism. So basically you are more leaning towards quantitative. If you are interested in process, you interested in construct, like what is the procedure, what is the process, uh, explaining the steps. So this is what we call as constructivism, and this is more on qualitative. Uh, other paradigm, the popular paradigm is pragmatism, what we call as pragmatism. So for those who are pragmatism or pragmatic, practitioner is a pragmatic. So this is they have this combination of post-positivism and constructivism. So for pragmatism, most of the time you are mixed method. So this is important. Why? I think most of Asian country, they don't talk about research paradigm when they do PhD or master. But in United States, in US, most of the time they ask about this question. What is your research paradigm? Because they want to know, like, you lean towards what design suits you, whether you are driven by quantitative, driven by qualitative, or you are balanced, meaning you are mixed method. So it's easier because this is your strength. So you need to know this, like you need to kind of like ask yourself this question, whether you like numbers, you like word, whether you are practical, whether you are practitioner, you like all these steps, all procedure, what are you? So This is the assumption of a world comparing quantitative and qualitative. Okay, in terms of the purpose, when we do our write-up, in terms of the purpose, the objective of our research, for quantitative, we want to establish the relationship, or we want to explain the cause that change when we measure our variable. So when doing quantitative, basically we are trying to looking at the relationship between variable. Okay, we want to explain, like, is there any correlation, is there any relationship, is there any association, or is there any differences between these variable. So this is looking on the relationship between the variable. So this is more on quantitative. Okay, but in qualitative, the purpose is, like I said, is concerned on the process, on the understanding what happening. You know, when you have a phenomena, when you have your scenario, like what happening, what are the story behind something happen, what are the story behind that phenomena. So this is more on storytelling. So your research purpose is to tell the audience, to tell your readers, like, okay, this is what happening with my research. So if you have like this kind of situation, if your study towards uh, something like that. So this is what suit you are qualitative. Okay, so because of the nature. So in your write up, for your purpose, for your objective, if you are more towards what I said as a, try to find a relationship, then you are quantitative. If you are more on storytelling, if you are more on exploring, find a new thing, storytelling, so forth, and then you are qualitative. Once you have like all this is clear. Why? Because it's going to like drive your research methodology. Don't pre-select your research methodology. Don't say, like before even do literature review, you say like, I'm going to do quantitative research. No, don't do that. Let your study drive your research methodology. Okay. Okay, in terms of methods and process, I think there's a different for quantitative and qualitative. Okay, because for quantitative, we kind of like pre-establish our design. Why? Because we already know our theory, our logic behind the study. We just want to confirm. That's why in quantitative, you need to kind of like read lots of literature review, trying to come out with a good theory and then test that theory. So this is quantitative. For qualitative, because you are exploring, so you want to kind of like limit in terms of the theory, because you don't want the theory to kind of like try to navigate your study. You want to explore and then you want to explore and then find a new thing. So in terms of method and process, there's a difference between quantitative and qualitative. Okay. For prototypical studies, most of the time in quantitative, you have like two. Experimental is a kind of like one study. The other one is non-experimental. You can have like both experimental and then non-experimental. When you have experimental, your compound of research is you can control that. Okay, non-experimental is when you use when you want to assess their perception. Okay, in qualitative, there's a thing what we call as a in terms of the study, you want to understand the situation. So that's why it's an in-depth study. So you cannot generalize. For qualitative, you cannot generalize. For quantitative, you can generalize. For qualitative, you cannot generalize because there's a that you are trying to understand the phenomena. When you interview someone, you want to see from their lens, and then when you do your observation, you want to kind of like submerge into the situation so that you understand better. So this is the difference between quantitative and qualitative. We're going to talk about different research design on quali and quanti after this. Okay. Okay. Role, researcher role for quantitative. You need to detach. You don't want to being seen as a researcher. You don't want to have any string with your sample, your respondent, your population, whatever you call it. You don't want to have any connection with them. Okay, why? You need to avoid bias, because if you know someone, then it will become biased during data collection. So you want to detach. This is quantitative. For qualitative, you need to become part of them. So most of the time when we do qualitative, we are doing kind of like grand tour. Okay, grand tour basically like we kind of like understand our research area, and then we try to blend with our respondents, so that they, you know, like they feel like we one of them. So it's easier for us to kind of like see from that lens. Okay, be part of our participant. So this is the researcher role. That's why when you write for qualitative and quantitative, there's a difference. Okay, for qualitative, you can write from your perspective as a researcher and also as a part of a research process. Compared to quantitative, you cannot do that. Okay. Context, quantitative, like I say, you can generalize because we are using the population are bigger, and then we take a sample, and then from sample we tested our whatever theory, and then we generalize back to the population. So that's a quantitative. Qualitative, that you cannot generalize. They are you know, like this is specific for that respondent only. So there's an in-depth. So how many respondent do you have? So only that. You cannot generalize to bigger population. So that's qualitative. Okay. Precision, of course, for quantitative, you're going to use statistical analysis, measurement. For qualitative, most likely, you're going to describe the descriptive about the phenomenon. Okay. This is on verification. Quantitative, you can replicate. Qualitative, most likely, you have better understanding of your study. I'm going to like okay, for logical reasoning, most of the time quantitative are deductive compared to qualitative. Qualitative are more inductive. Okay, so so there's a different in terms of quantitative and also qualitative in terms of the logical reasoning, because why? Because in quantitative, you are more like I said, you want to confirm. In qualitative, you are more exploring. That's why there's a different in terms of the logical reasoning. Okay. Okay. Is there any question? Do you have any question? No, not yet. Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, I have one question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sir, my question is that, is there any difference between method and methodology part?
Yes, yes. Good question. Good question. Okay. So there's a difference between methodology and also methods. Okay. Basically, methods are steps. Methods are procedure that you do when you want to do a study. Let me go back to my earlier slide. Okay. I think I have something on that. Okay. So this is the difference between methodology and also methods and technique. Methods are steps, and also technique. You do to collect your data and to kind of like find the answer of your research question. So this is method. Okay. So it's a technique. It's a step. It's a procedure. Okay. Methodology is a research technique. It's a whole thing, whole chunk. Okay. First we talk on research design, and then we talk on sampling technique. Basically your population sample. Okay, what is your population? What is the theoretical population? What is the accessible population? And then how can we calculate the sample from that population? And then within that we talk about the external validity. Because whether your sample randomized or not.
Sorry, excuse me, sorry for interruption. There is a echo. Can't hear.
Come again?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
there's echo now. It has subsided. Somebody Raja has put on the mic.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay. Let me explain one more time. So methods and technique is a steps. Okay. Steps when you want to collect the data, or in your chapter 3, what you call as a research procedure. Okay. So this is where you can show using a flow chart. Okay. Start and then what next?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two questions
Okay.
to know.
Mhm.
Sir, my first question is that what is the basic difference or important difference between research questions and hypotheses?
Oh, okay. So that's a good question. Also, good question. I like this kind of interaction. Okay. So for research question and hypothesis, there's a same thing. Okay. Same thing in terms of you want to answer the question arise from your research problem, but there's a difference in doing that. Okay. I think I have something on here. I think let me check. Okay, let me try to open this slide. Okay. So when you when you want to ask question, you can use either research question or hypothesis. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but for quantitative, okay, for quantitative, if you want to use hypothesis, make sure that your research design is experimental. Okay,
Okay.
so now you have you know, like for quantitative you have one experimental, the other one is what we call as a non-experimental. For both of these, you can use either research question or hypothesis. But for non-experimental, don't use hypothesis. Only use hypothesis for experimental. Okay. Why? Okay. Because when you are using hypothesis, you need to come out with a statement. One is null hypothesis and the other one is alternate hypothesis. Okay, so when you test your hypothesis, when your P or your alpha is smaller than 0.5, if your confidence interval is 95% confident interval, then you can reject your null hypothesis. Okay, so when you have a situation when your null is not true and then you reject your null, and then you need to kind of like explain on your type 1 or type 2 error. So for hypothesis, either you reject or fail to reject your hypothesis, right? Because that's a null. So whenever you fail to reject, you need to report either is type 1 or type 2 error. So this is why only experimental design are suitable when you want to ask using hypothesis. For non-experimental, if you are using hypothesis, and then if you are failed to reject your null hypothesis, then you couldn't explain whether it's type 1 or type 2 error. So that's the reason. Okay, let me share with you.
But excuse me, sir, but we generally used to have hypotheses in our social research. Is it correct? Social research.
Come again?
We used to do social sciences, in social sciences.
Yeah.
There we have hypothesis also.
Yes, true. Yeah. Okay. Agree. Totally agree with you. Okay.
Yeah.
You can have hypothesis. Hypothesis is okay. Because you need to have a hypothesis when you want to do a research. The only thing is, when you come out with your research question, don't put the statement as a hypothesis. If your research design is non-experimental, you can have your hypothesis. It's okay.
Only hypothesis.
Yeah, but don't write as a hypothesis, because when you write your hypothesis, basically what you did is you write your statement, right? Okay. Only experimental that you can control your you can control your situation. Okay, experimental you can do that. Non-experimental you can't do that. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is
test of hypothesis.
Yes. You know, this is important. Why? Because sometimes you cannot explain why you are failed to reject a null in terms of type 1 and type 2 error. Only experimental can do that. And in terms of variable, for experimental, the variable we call as an active. Why? Because we can the statement is kind of like manipulate, right? Yeah, and then for
and manipulation, all of
yes.
more
So that's why.
And it's mainly exploratory and descriptive type of social research are generally.
True. true. So my recommendation for all of you, if you have your hypothesis for non-experimental, change that hypothesis into research question. Okay, don't use hypothesis. Don't use a statement null hypothesis.
Right, like
and then,
research questions. No.
yes,
Right,
yes.
like
Just
research.
change into research
Okay,
question.
thank you very much.
It's,
Sir.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the same thing. Okay, that's a good question. Okay, because you asked about that question, let me share this with you. Okay, so basically for research methodology, first we are concerned about our design. Okay, our design. So in design and approach, we have what we call experimental and non-experimental. So I already explained, like for the independent variable in experimental, what we call as active, because we can change that, we can manipulate that. Okay, for example, you can you know, like your feeling, you can change your feeling. Okay, tonight maybe you are happy, tomorrow maybe you are sad. So that is something that you can change. So that is active independent variable, right? But for
Experimental, it's not.
but for attribute, you cannot change that. That is something that you need to live with you. Okay, for example, you know, like
It's a
my,
stable.
yeah, my hair color is black, right? I couldn't like, you know, even though I want, if I can like dye my color into like blonde or red or whatever, white or whatever, it is still, the DNA is still black. So that is the attribute. So that is the non-experimental. So we have like these two. Okay, so for experimental, we have like two approach in the design. The first one, what we call as the randomized experimental, or most of people in UK, in Europe, they call it as a true experimental. So this is the one. And the other one is a quasi-experimental. Basically, quasi-experimental is a non-random experimental. And then for non-experimental, we have a lots of different question, lots of design. We have a comparative design, association design. We have cross-sectional. Other than that, but most important thing, what I want to show you is, in terms of the research question of hypothesis, basically for quantitative, there's a three type of research question. Okay, the first one, what we call as a descriptive. So when you have only one variable, so that's type of question is what we call as a descriptive research question. When you have like two variable and you want to see the relationship, this is what we call the associational research question. Okay. And the third one is a differential research question, when you want to compare group. So when you have like this, so this is type of research question. We have descriptive, we have associational, and then we have differential, and then we have complex descriptive, complex assault, and also complex differential. Let me just show you one or two of the question. Okay. Oh, it's not working. Let me go back. Where is my slide? Oh, it's not happening. Let me try to find. Okay, so this is basically a basic research question. So this is what we ask from. So this is what we develop from our research problem, right? So for example, when you are using non-experimental and then you have your instrument is a survey, right? And then you ask like, okay, the demographic, and then the research question would be what percentage of participant is of each gender. So basically you want to describe how many of your respondent is male, how many of your respondent is female. Then the analysis would be, using frequency and also percentage for this one. Okay, and then more complex research question, kind of like when you run from alpha, right? What is the internal consistency reliability? Okay, so this is kind of like the complex research question. For differential research question, you want to find is there any difference between groups, right? So are there different between 4 level of lesson? Okay, let me, what happened to my slide? So something like that. Okay. So are there different between 4 level of lesson, piano, voice, drama, and no lesson in regards to average IQ and achievement score of children? So this is differential question. So it's easy because why? When you differentiate your research question into these 3 type of research question, it's easier for us to determine what are the statistical analysis. For this one, it's easy because we have like 4 group and we know like this is one-way ANOVA. This is analysis of variance. Why? Because there's a more than 3. Okay. If we only have 2, and then we can use t-test, independent sample t-test. So this is basically what you asked early on that research question. Okay. Is there any question? Any more? Any other question?
Good evening, Dr. Cairo. Yeah, I have
Yes.
a question. Can you explain me what is descriptive research, experimental research, and exploratory research? And we have 2 research, which is quantitative and qualitative.
Yeah.
Which is suitable for these 3 research
Okay.
for both? Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay. So the one that you asked early on, the first one is the descriptive, right?
Yes.
The second one is
Experimental research
experimental research, and the
and
third one is
exploratory research.
exploratory research. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this the first one is on what we call as a non-experimental. Descriptive is a non-experimental. Why? Because we want to describe. Basically, is a description. You want to give a description. Okay, what is the description? You are explaining. You know, like if you want to explain about something, so this is type of research. Okay, so in doing this type of research, this is more towards what we call as a design. This is what I explain as the research design. So basically you are explaining what type of design that you choose for your research so that your examiner understand better. Okay. Can I know the second one, Jessica? What is the second one? The first one is descriptive. Second one is
Experimental research.
okay, experimental. Okay. So experimental is also in quantitative study. In quantitative study, there's a 2 what we call as research design. The first one is experimental. The second one is non-experimental. Okay. Why? It's easy. anything that you do that you can control within your parameter, you can control whether like what is the respondent, what is the intervention. So this is what we call as experimental. Just imagine, you know, like when you see a study that being conducted in medicine, is doing experimental, right? So this is the same type that we are using in social science. The different only when you talk about experimental, the first one, when you talk about the experimental, basically experimental involve something what we call as the intervention. Okay, so what is your intervention? What is within your study that you use to prove something? Okay, for example, when you see if you are a teacher, and then you see like your students couldn't understand certain topic. For example, they couldn't understand research methodology topic, and then you come out with a simple solution. For example, you want to use modular in your classroom, so that is the intervention. So you're using experimental as your research design, and then you need to have at least two groups. One, what we call as a control group, and the other one is the experimental group. The experimental group is the one that we try our intervention. In my example, so the experimental one is the one that we try out our module. The control group use the conventional, you know, just give lecture or whatever, and then we give them quiz, we test them, exam, you know, and see whether there's a difference between experimental group and control group. So this is what we call as experimental in quantitative. So for the experimental, we have two. One is randomized. Why? Because you need to randomize your sample. If you have for each group you have like 30 students, so in total you have 60, right? You need to total them up and then randomize and then separate them into two groups. So this is what we call as randomized, or in UK, in certain country in Europe, they call it a true experimental. The other one is quasi-experimental. Quasi-experimental, when you don't have the opportunity to random your group. Okay, for example, it's convenient, you know, like when you want to select your control group and also your experimental group, you just pick one class for control and the other class for experimental. So this is what we call as quasi-experimental. But there's a design, there's an approach, specific approach for experimental. Let me show you the approach. Okay, this is simply okay. So this is a specific design or specific approach for quasi-experimental. So what we have, this is with a major limitation. This is first when Stanley and Stanley use what we call as a pre-experiment. Don't use this design because this design have a limitation. This is with major limitation because there's only one group. So one group post-test only design. So you have like only experimental design, experimental group, experiment group. One group pre-test, post-test design, post-test only non-equivalent group. And then we have like beta quasi, we have pre-test, post-test, non-equivalent comparison group design. Most of PhD student, most of doctoral student use this design. So the approach is experimental and the design is pre-test, post-test, non-equivalent compression group design. So when you write that design in your chapter 3, examiner will understand, okay, basically you have like two classes. One is experimental, the other one is control group, and then you have a pre and post-test. You give them pre and post-test, and then you see is there any increment on the result for experimental compared to control group. Okay. Other than that, for randomized or true experimental, we have post-test only control group design. The more complex, the more the hardest design for experimental is, I think, Solomon 4 group design, because you have 2 group for experimental and also 2 group for control. So this is a type of design that you can find from book. This is from Gleaner book. I will like show you the copy of the book after this. Okay. So that is on the experimental. Okay, Jessica, the last one.
The last one is exploratory research.
Okay, so the exploratory research basically are qualitative research. So this is where you are exploring a phenomena, what you want to find. So basically exploratory research for qualitative, we have like five traditional, according to Creswell. This is the 5 traditional. The first one is narrative inquiry, and then you have a grounded theory, you have a phenomenology, and then you have case study, and the other one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is ethnographic. Other than that, for exploratory under qualitative, you have other design also. For example, the basic qualitative is basic interpretive, and then you also have ethnographic in that for that design. What else you have? I think feminist. You can do. What else for qualitative? But basically, the exploratory are more on qualitative. So, what Jessica asked just now is research design for research design in terms of research design, experimental, and then non-experimental is the descriptive. Under descriptive, non-experimental, and for the exploratory are more on qualitative. Okay.
All right, thank you, Dr. Carol.
Okay. Okay. If you have any question, just shoot me. Okay. Okay. Let me continue. Okay. I'm going to tonight. I'm going to concentrate more on quantitative. I think because we have 3 days, right, for this workshop. I think we can cover qualitative and also mixed method after this. Let me just go through just cover qualitative research method first. Okay. Something's wrong with let me try. Okay, can you see my slide?
Yes, doctor. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So like I said before, quantitative methods are more emphasized on the objectivity, right? Is involved statistic, is involved mathematics, is mostly involved numbers. Okay, so when you want to confirm something, you want to confirm your phenomena, and then use quantitative. Okay, so whenever whenever like you go through your research problem, and then you know that you need to confirm, okay, confirm something, confirm the phenomena, then you should go with the quantitative research. Okay, so quantitative research are more on gathering numerical data, and then we need to generalize to the bigger population, because we are dealing with a large number of respondent. Okay. Okay. It's the same thing for quantitative. I think this I already like explained this. It's the same process. You know, first you should like identify your research problem, and then do literature review, and then come up with research question or hypothesis, and then what is your research design and approach. Once you have your research design and approach, either is experimental or non-experimental, and then rewrite your research question. If you are using experimental, I think it is good if you have hypothesis. Okay, if you are doing non-experimental, just convert into research question. And then create plan for research in terms of sampling, instrument. Most important thing for quantitative data, quantitative research is on the instrument. Okay, so
Dr. Khairul,
yes.
sorry for interrupt, but for the next session we have to Prof. Bara is ready.
Okay, yeah, okay, okay.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay.
All right.
Okay, if we have time, I'm going to like continue on quantitative research. I think I will hand over to Prof. Bala. Prof. Bala is expert on qualitative. Prof. Bala will explain more on qualitative. You should like ask question to Prof. Bala. I'm going to like, I'm learn a lot from Prof. Bala. I think you also can learn a lot from him also. Okay, thank you. If you have anything, just just contact the moderator. Moderator like know how to contact me. If we have times, we can continue. Let me pass again to Miss Risha, right? The MC. Thank you, and have a good workshop.